Hey, what's going on out there, everybody? This is Samuel Leggett here representing Team JVS, here to give you guys another movie review. I'm here to talk about a film called No One Will Save You. This is currently available on Hulu right now, exclusively on Hulu. I don't believe it made a theatrical run, but the background premise is basically Brienne is the main character. Brienne is played by Caitlin Daver, and Brienne is a recluse. She takes solace with being in her home. And one of the most fascinating things about the movie is that there's not a lot of dialogue at all. Uh, I don't think that Brienne has an actual conversation with another human being the whole entire movie. I think that there are moments where she screams. There are times where she sulks. There's time that she reacts to somebody reacting to her. But the backdrop of that is it seems like she has a very shattered past. Something happening in her past that made people despise her, look down upon her, and even the way she lives. She doesn't live like the movie in the backdrop. It could be taken if you just focus in on the home, you believe this could be taking place in like the 60s or the 70s, the way that Brienne lives. Well, this does take place in present day, but that's not how she lives. Like she's got the old fashioned clothes, record player. Like most of her stuff is analog. Like she doesn't even have a cell phone. Like she used a rotary phone. And so the whole entire movie, like I was just like, where are we going with this? Because it seems like so much is happening, so much has happened in the past. Then all of a sudden, she hears something in the middle of the night and things completely go awry. And the thing that I actually really loved about this movie is that when you think back to like aliens, right? Most people go and think back to a couple different films. Like if you think of like Aliens, the movie, right? Um, but we haven't had a decent like alien science fiction film in a while. I think the last one that really was notable for me was Arrival. Arrival was a really good film. But it was like that in like District 9 were probably the two that I could think back to. Everything else that's happened recently has been like Exorcist related, like I don't know, monsters. Like we haven't seen like a good old alien feature. And to be honest with you, the bar for me, what was one of my favorite alien films, was actually Signs. There are moments that the way that she kind of lives and the way she's kind of reacting to everybody around her, and because of the certain tragedy of her past, it reminded me a little bit of Signs. But the thing I loved about this is the truth of the matter is there's a movie that came out maybe a year and a half ago. Was Note, Jordan Peele. Amazing director. This is amazingly well shot film, great visuals, but I didn't get what I wanted in terms of an actual conflict, like seeing aliens, seeing like the back and forth of dealing with extraterrestrials and what they're capable of. The last time that I really got something like that, I'll bring that up in a second. But I was hoping for what I got in this film for Nope, because there's a lot of luxuries that kind of come from stuff like that in District 9. And this one, like the way that the spacecrafts are kind of going through the clouds, the way that the technological side of how these aliens are maneuvering and maneuvering around. There's different classes of aliens, which is freaking nuts. I think that the thing that I love about this movie that I didn't think I would is the fact that I got to see the mystery of like the possibility of aliens being sentient, nice, technologically sound, and at the same that time, like terrifying, like otherworldly terrifying. There's a scenario that happens where the main character is at nighttime, she's running through, and all of a sudden she looks and she sees something coming through the woods. And it's a freaking variation of an alien, and it's terrifying. Just thinking about that, like you're like, okay, I don't know how it's gonna go. Now, this is where the suspension of belief comes in. I could go and knock on this movie the whole entire way. I could be like, this is not believable. You got one soul that's trying to navigate through all of this, right? Um, and it's just seemingly like she's just getting over, she's making it, it's happening, and everybody hates her. Like she's just the only one that has the will to survive. The suspension of belief is definitely there. I could go and nitpick on that. I could nitpick on the fact of like we don't really get a clear cut understanding of her relationship in the past that was a part of her tragedy that brought her to the point where everybody just did not interact with her and kind of cemented like us like kind of dealing with two different scenarios of one like she has nobody she could turn to, but then even if she did, nobody would help her. And then also the backdrop of the town, you don't know enough about it because there's no dialogue in it. These are all nitpicks, right? But from an entertainment standpoint, from the beginning of the movie all the way to the end of the movie, you are rooting for this character. And I give credit to Caitlin as an actress because a lot of her scenes are off of her raw emotion and interaction of what's happening. Like these aren't dialogue based. This is her reacting to what's happening. The first interaction that she has with an alien was terrifying. But at the same as that time, it was exciting. It wasn't just like, oh, okay, this is happening. Like, no, this is a very one-sided fight. And it's only going to take 1 second for this to end very badly. And every single time you see her making it, going through, dealing with worse things that are happening to her, like by the end of the movie, you're like, this was a crazy ride. Now, this is the thing that I'll say, and I think that this movie prepared me for how this movie ended. There's a movie called Signal. I'm not going to spoil you anything about it, but Brynn Thwaites, yes, that is Brynn Thwaites. If you've seen Titans and you've seen like any of the other, like one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, the last one that came out, he's the main character, and he has something that happens to him, and all of a sudden his body is changing, and he's kept in this facility. And the way that that movie ends is so sci-fi, so epic. And also, I don't want to spoil it, but this is extraterrestrial, like connected as well. And the way that this ended reminded me of how that ended. And I think that that ending prepared me for this one. So it's even though like I'm like, man, this could have been different. I think that the way that the main character interfaces with other people and her sense of normalcy, it actually makes sense on how this movie ended. And once you see the movie, you'll understand what I mean by that. I do think that some people it's gonna be hit or miss with. Like some people like, no, like that's stupid. And again, like you take your pick with it. But I think for the entertainment side, and then also like the sci-fi aspect of kind of what's really happening to these humans and the sacrifices that are being made, like the death that's happening, like it's almost an impossible situation. And also there's another show that's right now on Apple TV Plus. If you've never seen Invasion, that's another decent one that I've actually seen, but it's a TV series. And I really truly do like that one. Because again, much like this movie, it goes different routes of how you can look at aliens. And I would recommend you go and check out Invasion. But I think that from how they handle aliens in this one, like it's a perfect merger of horror, terror, and intrigue. Because the intrigue side comes in where you're like, you know, based on what's happened to the main character, based on what these creatures are trying to do, is it is messed up as is very interesting. So yeah, I think that this is a decent movie. I again, I can nitpick for days. I can critique it down. Is this something that you would go back and watch again? I think I actually would. I think I would need to watch it with my wife or with a group because I think it'd be from a thrill standpoint, from a thriller standpoint. I think it's really engaging. Also, like a lot of the CG and the effects of how they use practical environment situations that are happening to the main character to also what she's really kind of going through from a VFX standpoint. I think that they handle it very well. But again, a large part of that is off her acting alone because there's not that many actors in this one. The only big gripe that I could say is I don't know the real of what kind of happened. I think there's context there. Maybe bodes a rewatch, but I mean, I think from a general audience standpoint, there may not get it at all. But yeah, I rest this at a B, man. Like B plus actually. I think that this is pretty interesting, and it's just so funny because I know that I felt the same that way about Prey. Like I was like, man, I want more Prey. Like it's freaking up. And yet again, Prey is getting another one. But yeah, I think this is one of the ones that I was like, good on you, Hulu. This is actually really entertaining. So straight up from 20th Century Fox. Go and check this out if you have not already. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell button. Again, I'm giving this a B to B plus, and I'd highly recommend you go and check it out as well. Just even if you just want to kind of riff and talk about it, hit me up in the comment section below. We can talk more about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go and check out No One Will Save You. Peace, guys.
Filing out the top of the
I can see the skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline. Ain't nothing on my mind.